and welcome to all. If you are lucky enough to live in an old house or inherit a family heirloom, you never know what you might discover. Secrets lurk everywhere, even in the closest of families. Maybe those items have great sentimental value or hide a priceless treasure. Or maybe the person who hid them wanted to keep their secret well hidden. I'm pleased to present a video featuring 10 stories of people who discovered strange objects in their homes, leaving them totally upset. Are you ready? Let's get started. A German woman found this mysterious safe hidden in the kitchen of her great-aunt's house, who had left Russia in the 1940s and headed for Hamburg. The safe was simply heavy, old, and rusty. She was not very reassured. What could her great-aunt have hidden in this big trunk? To find out, there was only one way: to open it. And for that, she needed a key. Fortunately, by searching a little more in the house, she was able to find a key that seemed to be the right one, because it had a certain design that was close to that of the chest. And indeed, the key worked well. Once the safe was opened, the woman was surprised to find an empty tray, so she thought she had gone to all the trouble for nothing. However, she noticed a ring that she immediately pulled out, and to her surprise, there were some neat items in the bottom of the safe. And these objects were some books, small empty boxes, letters, and postcards from the World War from 1914 to 1944. The first book was an original copy printed in 1943 of the book Mein Kampf, written by Adolf Hitler during his stay in prison in 1920. It was a book that drew his attention to Hitler's political ideas and his aspirations for Germany. But the question was why this great-aunt kept this book in a hidden place. In short, the answer to this question will obviously not be known. There was also a copy of the book Rob Roy, a novel by Walter Scott. Then, a copy of the book Lady and the Tramp, which was an early edition featured in the 1955 Walt Disney movie. The trunk also contained 3 empty metal boxes, but no one knows why they were hidden there. And finally, a bunch of pictures of people that the woman could not identify. They were probably her great-grandparents and other family members. In any case, the German woman was very happy about this discovery to tell her relatives. Homeowners might find all sorts of surprises when they move into a new place, including historical silver relics and even notes from previous residents. But this couple hit the jackpot after inheriting this house, especially after the discovery of what was in their basement. Since 1930, this house had remained uninhabited until Archie and Philippa Graham Palmer arrived. When the couple entered, it was not a pretty sight. The basement was filled with a huge pile of items that the family had collected over the years. As the couple moved forward on their search, they discovered something exciting. It seemed like a secret door hidden behind. And if you're familiar with crime movies, you'll know that hidden rooms don't often hide a great story. But apparently that wasn't the case for this couple, because what they found took them back in time. It was a Victorian kitchen completely untouched for almost 60 years. The couple couldn't believe it. Indeed, the kitchen was equipped with everything. There were pots, pans, kettles, cookie cutters, a spit for roasting pigs, and even a table and benches in the middle that could seat about 20 people. The couple also found a cookbook from 1911 in the room that contained recipes, but which certainly required an army of cooks to prepare. The couple finally decided to renovate the kitchen, leaving it in its Victorian style. A couple renovating their home was surprised to discover this 50-year-old safe behind their kitchen wall. The safe contained approximately $51,080 in $100 bills, and also a bottle of 1916 bourbon. Their find was surprising, especially when they found a book called A Guide for the Perplexed, written by E.F. Schumacher and published in 1977. Inside the book was a black and white photograph with a note on the back that said, "Alan, I have a book you need to read. I have underlined some key passages. Your friend, Vincent." Then, on several pages, there is a sequence of what appear to be clues to the treasure hunt, in addition to a map titled Arizona. One would love to know where the treasure hunt took them. Maybe the money in that safe come from the treasure hunt. We never know. Either way, the couple didn't know what to do with the money they found, but they did keep the bottle of bourbon to celebrate the find. Pat and Diane Farla moved into a Victorian house nearly 3 years ago. But ever since they moved in, they'd always wondered what might be behind that strange rectangular gate that lined the hallway floor at the entrance to the house. Until one day they decided to break through the mystery and lift the grate to see what was inside. And that's when their 20-year-old son Gareth surprised them and slipped inside. And surprise, the mystery was finally solved. The gate was actually hiding a secret church in the basement. In the center of the room, there was an old wooden cross that looked like it had fallen down after rotting. At the sides, there were some kind of benches and also newspapers from the early 1900s. The room was spooky, and there were stairs that led to a closet in the dining room. According to experts, the house was built about 230 years ago, and perhaps by Catholics for the purpose of holding secret masses. And what do you think it could be? This painting has been smoked by an old lady for almost half a century. Indeed, the owner of the painting always hung it above the hob. She thought it was a simple painting that had no value. But you see, this painting made its owner very rich. Indeed, one day an auctioneer saw the painting by chance and thought that its value must be very unusual and advised the lady to have it appraised. After examination by the experts, the painting turned out to be a work by the artist Simawe and a witness to the Renaissance period. It had an extraordinary meaning. That's why sometime after this discovery, it was sold at auction for 24 million euros. So, what do you think of this story? Isn't it time to check if you have an old painting hanging in your kitchen? You never know what our kitchens might be hiding. George and Betty Davis were vacuuming their attic in New York when they noticed a small box with a sculpture inside. They contacted an expert, and it turned out to be a Russian figurine created by Faberge and commissioned by Russian Tsar Nicholas II himself in 1912 for his wife, Empress Alexandra. The statue later fell into the hands of an American entrepreneur who sold it in 1934 to George Davis for $2,250. Faberge made only 50 sculptures, all of which are considered rare. And the couple who were among the buyer's descendants sold this one at auction for $5.2 million. It was one of the smaller lost treasures. We're not going to ask you this time to search the attic, because I think you've already thought of that. A Vancouver family was looking to sell 100 comic books after their mother died in 1999. This family lived abroad, so they wanted to sell them in one lot. But to their surprise, this collection, found in very good condition, turned out to be rare and dating from the golden age of comics in the 1940s and 1950s. This collection contained well-known titles such as Batman, Detective Comics, Flash, Wonder Woman, and especially a copy of Captain America, number 46, which recently sold at auction for $26,000. Finally, for once, we got to see Captain America save someone in real life, even though he's just in comic book format. Drinking a glass of water by a well is what this man named Colin Steer chose to do before finding an ancient well dating back to the 1700s in the middle of his living room. But how did he find it? Well, it wasn't easy to find out, especially since he and his family lived in their house for more than 10 years before noticing that there was a hole in the living room floor when they changed the floor joists. It was a simple coincidence, and it turned out to be a real well covered with earth. And the water that Colin was drinking from the cup was actually coming from that well. So Colin decided to investigate further. And so he spent a decade digging to find out what was hidden in the mysterious pit. The hole was 17 feet deep and contained 4 feet of water at the bottom. Colin didn't find much in the pit, just a ring and a coin that dated back to 1725. After completing the search, the family covered the well with perspex sheeting and a secure trapdoor, which gave the room a unique character. Since this find, Colin has been known in his region as the man of the well. If you had the opportunity to find a well in your living room, would you do the same? Lucas Azicona Ramirez of the village of Chahul in western Guatemala made an amazing discovery in his kitchen when he began renovating his home. Ramirez removed the plaster from the wall, and there a surprising surprise appeared. It was a mural of the Mayan civilization that was under the plaster. The theme of the painting was identified as the Dance of Conquest. In these images, you can recognize musicians and dancers, all dressed in a style that is neither Spanish nor Mayan. Experts say that there are no such paintings anywhere else in the world, and that this style appears in manuscripts drawn in this region around the 17th and 18th centuries. Amazing, isn't it? And to finish this video, we will see with you this unusual find of Lori and Jeffrey Dumas, who wanted to do some renovation work in their house, and precisely in the attic. So, can you imagine what they found? Not really. So, here's what they found. It's a little hidden room, but not just any room. What's strange about this room is that it opened from the outside and not from the inside. That is to say, the person who goes in cannot come out. That sounds very scary. Lori, thanks to a fellow historian, was able to discover that this kind of room was called in ancient times room of deception. A room used by the elite members of society to hide their disabled children. But why then did their house contain this room? Lori investigated further and discovered that a former local judge named Job Smith Carpenter lived in this house with his wife between 1866 and 1906, and that they had a daughter, Ruth, who apparently secretly occupied this room. The judge and his wife felt that knowledge of their daughter's existence would bring shame upon them. Lori spoke out loudly about this discovery, as she considered the behavior of these families to be inhuman. In any case, this story was an inspiration for a film that shot in 2016 called The Disappointment Room. Give us your opinion on this story.